2 and the high power offense where they both was averaging the same number points and all this. They both got nice defenses and everything, and we got exactly what we wanted for the most part. We got exactly what we wanted where they were going back and forth. Carson Wentz, man, he throwing 4 touchdowns. Jared Goff, I think he threw 3 touchdowns. So Gurley, not Goff didn't throw 3 touchdowns. But Gurley, was out there balling. You had great catches, from Trey Burton and Alshon Jeffrey. So, and the defense, it was just a awesome game. And unfortunately, in that whole game or that whole, just experience of watching that game, Carson Wentz injured his ACL and, he's out for the year. So now it's like, what do the Eagles do? Even though the Eagles still won the game, what do the Eagles do? So Nick Foles stepped in and he did a pretty decent job. But here's the thing about that is when, the backup goes in kind of like in the middle of the game, no one had prepared for the backup. They prepared for Carson Wentz. So it's a little bit different. Now, the next team that they're going up against, although it is the Giants, it's not necessarily a team, I guess you would say, maybe fear or worry about. But I would still think that you do because they're a divisional opponent. And no one knows you better than your divisional opponent. So what can the Eagles do without Carson Wentz? So their scoring is going to take a little bit of a dip. I don't see them putting up the same numbers, where they were averaging 30 points a game. So I don't see that happening. But I do see them still. I think they'll lean more heavily on their run game. I think they'll want to slow it down a little bit. I think they'll want to tire out their defenses, or the defense that they're facing with the run game, and then basically release the hounds with guys like, Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox and, all those other Nigel Branham, that's on that defense. So I think they tweak it a little bit. I don't think they do much. Nick Foles, let me just say this about Nick Foles. Nick Foles is not, it's not like this is no knock. So please, people don't get mad when I say this. Nick Foles is not Tim Tebow. And what I mean by that, before everyone, gets in an uproar that's a Tebow lover, what I mean by that is when Tebow went into the game, in Denver, they had to basically change the whole offense. And Doug Peterson, the coach of the Eagles, said he's not, they're not looking at changing the offense. They're going to continue doing what they were doing. And Nick Foles, he got a strong arm. He proved that before while in Philadelphia. So he's had success. He's been in the league for a while. He understands what is at stake. He understands, that he has help around him. He understands that he doesn't have to do it all, by himself. He just don't need to get caught up. So I still think the Eagles will, and Vince says, Tebow talk. No. Yeah. Hey, I like Tebow, man. Hey, I mean, we'll get away from that. We're not going to get into that. So the Eagles take a step back. I do think they'll probably lose a game or two, and then, people will panic. But you look at this right now is that you're restarting over. You take it game by game. I know that's cliche, but you exactly got to take it game by game. And a prime example is Minnesota. Vince, I'm bringing up your Vikings. So the prime example is Minnesota. They lost Teddy in a practice. So then they get Sam. Sam gets hurt. Now they got Case Keenum. And let's all be serious, ladies and gentlemen. When we heard that Case Keenum was going to be starting, everyone thought the Vikings were in trouble. They were like, they're in trouble. And Case Keenum has went out there and has done a pretty good job. He is not, Tom Brady. He is not, Aaron Rodgers. Ooh, did I say Aaron Rodgers? whoop, can't say that word right now, maybe a little bit later. But, you know, he's not one of those caliber quarterbacks. But he has went out there and he has not put his team in danger for the most part. He has put them in a position to win. They have utilized their run game and they have leaned on their defense. And guys like Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen have stepped up. So that is what the Philadelphia Eagles are going to have to do. Alshon Jeffrey, Torrey Smith, and definitely Zach Ertz, who is he practiced today, so he's out of the concussion protocol. These guys are going to have to step their game up, and they're going to have to help Nick Foles with this offense. You can't. I mean, Carson Wentz was having a special season, a very special season. Not many guys can do that, but this offense and this defense can still win. I still think they could make some noise in the NFL for the rest of the regular season and also win the playoff start. They could still get a first round bye. They just need to rally around. I can't believe I'm saying that. Dick Vermeil. They need to rally around Nick Foles. That's it. Those guys got to step up their game. Jay Ajayi, I know you just got there. You got to step up your game. Just not this week because I'm facing you in the fantasy football playoffs. So please, sir, I don't need it this week. Just maybe next week you can. But Garrett Blount, guys do their job, do what is expected of them, and I think they'll be all right. Don't put Nick Foles in situations where for him to fail, and that's to the coaches, and I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to make sure that they try and cater the offense, or cater what they run to highlight their talent that they have. Yes, they lost their best player, but they got a lot of good players. So if they all can play together, then I think everything will be all right. Now, I didn't have the Eagles in the Super Bowl with Carson Wentz at this point. I wasn't ready to put them in there, so I'm definitely still not going to put them there, but I wouldn't rule them out from making the Super Bowl, because if they did make the Super Bowl, I won't be surprised by that. But I just don't have them in right now. And right now is the time where we speak about Aaron Rodgers. He's back. He is back, ladies and gentlemen. They talked about it, that he possibly could be back. There was a hope that he might be back. And at this point, he got cleared, medically cleared, and they are starting him against the Panthers this Sunday. The NFC in all should be terrified. They should be worried. They should be scared to a certain degree, because Aaron Rodgers is a bad boy. Even though the Packers, but you can't deny that man's talent. They got 3 games left. They got Carolina this week. They got Minnesota, and they got Detroit. So they got 2 division games at the end, but you also just got another NFC opponent. And right now, Green Bay is standing at 7-6. They possibly, and Aaron Rodgers had said, I didn't come back to save the team, but he may have come back to save the season. I could see them running the table and being at 10-6. They will have some competition and some people to worry about. Atlanta, they would have to worry about Atlanta. Atlanta is 8-5 right now. If Atlanta runs the table, they got a good chance. I think Atlanta controls their own destiny of getting into the playoffs. Carolina, they're 9-4. Obviously, they could do something about that this week since they face Carolina. And then they would need some help. Falcons still face Carolina. So some things could change, for them. Seattle is 8-5. They would still need some help. And I hate to say it, but I honestly could see Aaron Rodgers win these 3 games. But here's how they're going to have to win this. And here's how they will win it. Or go about trying to win it, I should say. And Clay just confirmed something for me. He said Falcons win out, they win the division. Exactly. So I talked about when they were making this big deal about him throwing. I said that's not the problem. That's not the problem. It's like a groin injury. When you're walking around with a groin injury, if you're just walking upright, ain't no problem. It's when you start trying to, shift in different directions, or you try to stop on the dime or something like that at the last minute. That's when the groin shows up and lets you know, I'm still here. Now, for Aaron Rodgers, that collarbone, yeah, you may be medically cleared, but it doesn't clear you from someone flopping on you or someone coming blindside and knocking the snot out of you. So that's what I'm worried about. But here's what I think they would do. They're going to play a little bit of Brady ball. And what I mean by Brady ball is that he's going to Brady/Manning, because I think what they're going to tell him, you make sure whenever you throw that ball, you get rid of it quick. You got a second less in the pocket. You get rid of it to tell a lineman, hey, we don't got a problem with you, guys holding or whatever. You got to save them. Also, Aaron, if you're running out of the pocket, you do one or two things. You get out of bounds or you slide. You do everything that you possibly can to limit the hits that he's going to take. Because I don't think that collarbone is 100% fully healed. Now, the other thing, though, that they will have going for them, now they lost, Montgomery and Aaron Jones has been hurt, but now this guy, Jamal Williams, he's stepped in and had 2 good games. And so if they can keep their running game going, but the biggest thing is that they lost on this. Devontae Adams has still been balling with Brett Hundley, but when Aaron Rodgers, there was someone that was seen in Green Bay standing on top of a building, tap dancing. And you know who that was? Do you know who that was? Someone type it in the chat room. When Aaron Rodgers was medically cleared, someone went to the top of the roof and started tap dancing. Who do you think that person was? Jordy Nelson. Yes, Jordy Nelson right now is on cloud 9 because he's like, my boy's back. My boy is back. And guess what, man? We finna let it rain. We finna change it. We finna switch this game up. And that's one of the things that the Green Bay Packers were missing with Hundley. And Hundley, like I said, he was hitting Devontae Adams, but that's not how this offense was working. This offense was running, like a machine when that ball was going to Jordy, Devontae, Randall, and then if you can hit the running backs, and maybe hit your tight ends here and there, but you weren't getting that. So I'm sure Jordy is ready to go. He is pumped up, and you have to worry about that dynamic, that deep ball. If he gets enough time and he doesn't put himself at harm, you got to worry about it. And we already know Aaron Rodgers is one of the best at improvising on the play. He improvised, but he just needs to get out of the pocket, get rid of the ball, versus maybe taking a hit. He draws out a play probably better than anyone. I would say Russell Wilson probably do a little bit better, job than he does. But A-Rod is back, y'all. And it's going to be very interesting these last 3 weeks as far as like what they can do. They are going to be the scary team that nobody wants to see if they get in. The Cowboys saw what was possible. I mean, the Packers had so many injuries last year, and what Aaron Rodgers was able to do with that team that he had in that game, that was just amazing. And some of the plays that he was making. And that's what you have to worry about with Aaron Rodgers. He's not normal. He's just not normal. Shouts out to Big L, who has joined the chat room. Appreciate you for joining us, Big L.